All right, good morning. I'm Frank Weeden, and this is
TD Cooper?
Yes. Sorry.
Brain freeze.
Can we start again? All right, anyway, this morning I thought we'd just kind of go down a list of kind of do a question and answer. Again, our links to our respective author pages are down below, and this is our sixth Lucky Six podcast. So
we're gonna have to quit counting because I can't keep up.
Right. I watch Sesame Street. I never count.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's just jump right in here. Okay, what is the first book that made you cry?
Oh, I knew that was going to be your first question, and I am not very much. I'm not a very emotional person. I don't cry very often in anything.
Right.
But I have to say that one of my phases was Kathleen Woodward's, and she wrote Gothic romance.
Oh yeah.
And I think I cried in a couple of those that I read. You know, with they have the fight and they have the makeup, and then and then something else happens, and you never know how it's going to end. So,
very nice. I think mine are. I think the first one I can remember crying over was Where the Red Fern Grows. That one was like, and then in recent memory, the book Thief.
Oh, okay. I saw the movie.
That one.
I liked the movie.
I made the mistake of reading that book, and I was on my way to Philadelphia on business, and I'd been reading it before right up until this business trip, and came to the climax of the novel while I'm coming in on final.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
I wish I could cry like that. I can't.
I don't normally do that. I'm not normally an emotional reader, but that one, like, oh my God.
I get all caught up in the story, and I don't want to put it down, and I'll read it until it's done.
Right.
If I have to stay up all night, but to cry and I don't.
All right. That book is so you get all involved with the characters and everything else, and then all of a sudden,
I can see that.
So that, of course, leads to the next question. When you're actually writing, does it energize you or does it exhaust you?
It energizes me. I feel like my mind clears. Because when I sit down to write, my mind is so busy, it's exhausting.
Right.
And once I get it down and read through it again and get it down and it energizes me, makes me want to go on to the next part to see what happens.
Right.
Again, so...
Yeah, for me, it's both for me. If I'm sitting there just grinding it out and the story's not coming easy, that's exhausting. However, you get that opening paragraph down, and all of a sudden it's like the whole idea unspools in my head. And I'm just like,
I love it when that happens. I love it when that happens.
Yeah, and of course I that happens for me primarily because I'm a short story writer, and so if I can just like all of a sudden the whole thing just opens up from
your characters are talking to you,
everything just happens. And so, okay, next question. If you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? So if you could go back to whenever you started writing, and tell yourself.
That wasn't very long ago, but I do remember when I was in high school, one of my friends across the street loved to write poetry, and my mother was all up in her business and helping her, and I was jealous of that. And I think that's when I started thinking about writing, but I didn't have the confidence to actually put anything on paper or to show it to anybody or to release it out there. And I think if I could go back to that day, I would tell myself to take a chance.
Mm.
I think the hardest part of writing for me was to share with the world.
Yeah, right.
And to open yourself up for that criticism.
That's pretty intimidating.
It's huge. And, you know, the first time I did, I just closed my eyes and went, here.
the first time I think I shared things with other people, I thought I would rather be on stage somewhere and pull my pants down in front of everybody. I mean, it was that same kind of vulnerability. It's like, oh God.
And then you're waiting and waiting and waiting for some kind of feedback.
Right.
And depending on who you've trusted, you know, they're all going to tell you you're wonderful.
Right. Which when you're first starting out is wonderful. It's so encouraging. And but later on you're like, okay, give me something I can chew on here. Give me
give me some feedback, because if I keep putting this out and it's really not good, then I'm really embarrassing myself.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure I have reached that satisfaction in my mind that what I put out is equal to the big people that get published. I'm not talking about the big guys, but I'm talking about, you know, the average author that's actually published. And I would really like somebody to give me some hardcore feedback that was honest, and not just trying to drag me through the mud.
Right. Well, I think I do a pretty good job as your
editor. You do. I know you do. But you're only one voice. I'd like to have a couple other voices.
Of course, the more perspectives you can have, the better. So, and if I could go back and tell my younger writing self something, it would be to keep writing, never give up, just write and write and write and write and write. Just keep churning it out.
Yeah.
So
I know, because the more you write, I think the better you get, the better your ideas get on paper instead of just stuck in your head.
I heard an author say that you needed to turn out, you know, 500,000 words before you began to turn out something of quality, which was, I thought,
that's a lot of words.
Yeah. Well, but
it's a lot of words.
But I guess the idea being that we're always practicing and honing and refining our craft, you know.
I think I've hit that number a while ago, but
Okay, what was the best money you ever spent as a writer?
Well, besides you, because you took a chance on me, that first story I wrote before you read anything, I sent to an editor, developer person. Her name was Victoria Mason, and she turned out to be a cousin of one of my girlfriends.
Oh, wow.
And I sent her the whole bloody manuscript, as bad as it was, and just asked her for not to edit it, but to critique the whole story and what needed to stay and what needed to go and what she thought of my writing. And that cost me a chunk of change that my dad put up for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was real helpful, because she pulled out parts, and I can be political at times, and I need to not be.
Right.
I need to just tell a story and not try to push an idea, and that was real helpful for me to step away from the two different ideas. So
it can be difficult, and that's a later question, but talking about the power of fiction to basically as a vehicle for social commentary. You know, so okay.
I think we're seeing a lot of that in our movies and stuff today.
Oh, sure.
And I think it's discouraging the actual movie goer that wants to, or the book reader that just wants entertainment.
Just wants a story.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's real important to keep that out of it.
Right. And for me, I don't know that I've ever really invested a lot of money in engaging other editors or anything of the sort. Probably the best money I spent was going from a typewriter and a word processor and finally to the computer.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. What authors did you at first dislike but later grew into, if any?
I don't like the classics at all, and I've tried to read those.
Well, the trouble with that is that thing that in school teachers shove
Right,
those things
yeah.
down our throats, you know, and so
I don't remember who wrote Andersonville. I don't remember who wrote that. But we had to read a story for a history class, and she taught me into reading that, and that book was, you know.
oh God.
And here's a kid that likes to be in the swimming pool and not be behind a book.
Right.
And I'd go into class every day after school and get her to start talking about it and tell me what was going on, and then I'd go home and do my thing and then read a couple of pages and go back and do the same thing. And that's how I weeded my way through that.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know. I don't know that I have any author that I've started out and then didn't.
Right.
If I don't like them, I put it down and go move on.
Right. Well, for me, there's I've read authors like I'll start reading a certain author, like them, and so I'll start looking for their other novels. There's several authors, I guess, that like they'll write a couple of stories that I'm like, oh man, these are great, and then they'll turn out something else. I'm like, what? Like William Gibson comes to mind. He wrote like Virtual Light, Burning Chrome. Science fiction. It's kind of cyberpunk, I guess, at the time, which is kind of a genre that had its day and has kind of moved on. But he wrote a couple, like 2 or 3 books that I'm like, man, these are outstanding. It's probably the best books I've ever read. And then he's written other things. I'm kind of like, what? I mean, it's really, really weird stuff that I can't do. So, okay, well, we've gone through 5 questions. I've got like a whole list of them.
Okay.
we're kind of running out of time here. So, I really enjoyed it. You know, thank you for
having me, and it's always fun to be here. And everybody, go out and read. Don't be the reader I was. Start early, because you're missing out on a lot of good action.
Absolutely, and books can take you anywhere.
They can, and they're good. And then read our stuff.
Yes.